Hey there you guys, this is Nick. Welcome to Turniphead Art. Today I just wanted to show you guys some of my doodles, some of the work I've been putting in my sketchbook, the things that I don't show very often. I mean, some of these have found their way onto Instagram and Twitter, but a lot of it I haven't felt the need to divulge or show because it's a sketchbook, and I approach sketchbooks a lot more loosely than finished work, like client work, commission stuff. So in here is just a bunch of random things, a lot of tests, a lot of trial run type of things. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open it up and show you some of it. There's some loose stuff in the back. It's not totally full, but I'll show you what I've got. So here, I'll pull my stuff out. So this first page, we've got this guy. He's not too happy. He might have some issues with the way he's being treated, but hey, he seems to be doing all right. Oh, this one was a merfolk design for a D&D character. I mean, he was a scout warrior. I mean, I think I might have meant like a rogue fighter type. And I just thought it was a cool design. I really like the armor and this floppy collar. Here's some realism tests. I saw a lot of these on Instagram, and I was seeing about my rendering skills. I feel pretty good about it. I'm just not. I don't enjoy doing realism all that much. I like the cartoony styles and stuff. But this is always a good exercise. Things like this, you just take a small part of realism out. You just take some realism out of the world, and then just render the heck out of it, and just see how much you can accomplish. I mean, I know this isn't like master quality work or anything, but I'm pretty happy with the way this page turned out. I was just doing some doodles and thought I'd try it, and I feel pretty good about it. Oh, here was it was almost a self-portrait, but it looked terrible, so I just lie and say it was someone that looks kind of like me. But I mean, that was immediately following the previous page, so I was going for kind of realism, but I was trying to keep some simplistic cartoony shapes to it, and I mean, it's alright. It's alright. Here is some fun I was having. I was just doodling these weird shapes over here, and then I was like, you know what? These kids have been popping open these toys of these silly little things that are tiny little characters that are so cartoony and bubbly shaped. And I thought, fantasy champions. So I've got these little characters. They look like Grimace from the old McDonald's ads. And you have these little bits of armor you can place on them, and they come in different races and classes, like in D&D. A lot of my stuff is D&D motivated. But yeah, this was a toy design that never got off the ground. Oh, and here's a page for designing some full plate armor and some other weapons that the little guys would use. I mean, very generic O-face with T-pose. Some other costume designs for the different classes. This was supposed to be a doodle of Shadowmere from Skyrim, and it just kind of got away from me. Did some weird stuff, and I just turned the page and said I was tired of it. The next few pages are one-line challenges that look a lot like the ones I saw on Instagram. There's a one-line I I can't think of the name of the Instagram. There's several of them that do the one line thing, but I was just trying to. I looked up some animal references and tried to do like half face, one line pieces. That was a fox. This one's a pit bull. This one's an elephant. I tried to throw some watercolor, and this is when I discovered that this paper does not do great with watercolor. So this is the one and only time I use watercolor on this paper. There's another one. And another. I forget how many of these there were. There's a bear. Here's a very noble looking knight. He's got a cape and he's posed for combat. He was referenced from a TikTok that I watched. Someone sketched something very similar, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna do that with a brush pen. So I did. Oh, this was from my birthday this year. I was gonna do a comic, but then I was too sad, so I just gave up. So I was at work on my birthday, and it made me sad because I don't like work if I can help it. So I'm kidding. My job is great. I'm just kidding. This was going to be a rough out for a dragon born type of character, and I lost interest. I sketched him out in these simple shapes and squiggly lines and thought I had something, and then I just gave up on it. But that's what he looks like right now. Here's a heartless with a little starfruit necklace, and I like him because it's got like the shadowy portal that he just appeared out of, and he's pretty happy to see you. He's a good buddy. I'm not sure why he only has one wing. Maybe he just doesn't fly. Maybe he doesn't know that 2 wings is the norm. I don't know. He's fine though. I like his big old feet. Very sturdy. This was another one just playing around with the brush pen, getting used to the shapes and lines I can make. And I am not a morning person because I work at night, so I'm a night owl. So if you're trying to be all chipper in the mornings, I'm exhausted and don't want to fool with you. Oh, this is a character that I made. Their name is Akiho, and he, she, they are a fluid gendered character because they're demi-human, and it is in the world that I'm creating around this character. It's normal for demi-humans to alter gender and or not have gender. But this started off as just a doodle as I was thinking about the storyline for a character, and this is who it became. And I've actually fully rendered out a character piece for its I don't know, it's the world. Like I've laid out a lot of very basic guidelines for the way the world works, where Aki's from. Again, I don't remember because I do this pondering on these concepts, put it on paper somewhere, and then I just let it sit for forever until I get back to it 6 months later. I mean, it's a fun discovery when you pull out a character and you're like, oh, I designed them 6 months ago. Let's see what else I can do with them. Sometimes it takes that long to come up with new ideas. But just a little horny demon. Not the kind of horny you're thinking, but thanks for playing. But this guy was just another play around with rendering out some stuff, and then I gave up partway through again, because that's what sketchbooks are. Some gear for a runesmith dwarf that I was going to play as. This is a tortoiseshell gauntlet, and the character was also going to have a buckler, so I just added this onto the gauntlet. And I mean, aesthetically it looks like this, but functionally in the game it acts as just a regular buckler. And some runes on some stone and a short sword. La La Loopsy. These little girls all over the place are in love with these things, and I think they're creepy as hell. So at least in the straitjacket, they can't grab me. This one was a doodle for Valentine's Day, because again, I was at work this year on Valentine's Day, and I drew this at work and took a picture of it and sent it to my wife. And it is 100% accurate. Hellboy and Predator mashup. I like mashing things up. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, I mash up Pokemon and Mario enemies. And this was a precursor to that theme, where I was kind of doing comic book character mashups. Excuse me. And this was just a rough out. This arm is like down and to the side far too much. It just doesn't anatomically make sense. But it was fun. I like mashing things up. So this piece was a draw this in your style at Taylor Mall Art on Instagram. And I sketched it out on here, and I didn't like the way it looked in pencil. And there was no way to match up aesthetically to the original in my sketchbook. So I took a picture of this sketch, put it in Clip Studio, and rendered it out a bit. I mean, I kind of fixed it up a little. But obviously the original was so much better. I'm not a phenomenal artist, but I just like the theme, and I had to do something a little twisted with it. But yeah, this one was fun. I like twisting up wholesome things sometimes. It brings me happiness and makes me feel complete. This was a little challenge. I think I had 5 minutes, which, I mean, sounds like a lot of time, but it really isn't whenever you're being pressured. So I'm not sure what these people are, these very large eyeball creature giants, but that's what they are. Buildings, forests, eyeball creatures, and a sunset. Yeah. Okay, Broomlip Johnson was a nickname that I had whenever I was little. And then he became this character for whatever reason. And I just felt the urge to doing a Western sheriff's office. And then I put his head on a rail. I mean, I don't know why. It just happened. But I mean, these are fun. Stuff like this is fun for me. I like rendering things out a bit and doing full page little illustrations, but I don't do them that often because usually all I use my sketchbook for is sketches. And then I'll make them digital. But this one I'm not going to do that with. It looks good in pencil. Okay. This one was a doodle while I was watching a Jeffree Star video. My wife loves Jeffree Star. She started a YouTube channel just because she loves Jeffree Star and wanted to show off his makeup. And I'm not horribly judgmental in most cases, I believe. And usually when people say that, they're the most judgmental people, so I'm a little torn. But nonetheless, I told her his face is very skinny and long. And I didn't say it negatively, but apparently she thought I said he looked like an alien. And that kind of inspired me to draw this with the weird nose and oddly shaped facial features. This is not my version of Jeffree Star. This is my version of an alien that is trying to look like Jeffree Star. Okay? So don't get me wrong. Jeffree Star is great. This is not him. Okay? Okay. Okay. So So Western style cartoons like to do these extreme features on animals. So I had a speeding vehicle, and I know the positioning of this front end is not accurate to the positioning of the back end, and there's a lot of perception issues going on here. But I just like his stretched out face. Yep, that's it. I was asked to do a commission of an abused woman for a women's outreach shelter, and this was just a doodle that ultimately did become a logo, and it didn't look anything like this at all, but this was just a rough sketch of, you know, what's in my head whenever they asked me to draw something like that. But it, you know, it's a interesting piece. It's got a lot going on, and I'm not going to dive into it too deep because it makes me a little emotional, because my mother was a single parent for a long time, and we have our differences and disagreements, but this piece reminds me of her, and it's difficult to look at sometimes. So we're moving on. This piece was just a fluke. I don't know why I drew this one, but it was gonna be, you can kind of see where I was gonna draw eyes and a nose in here, like it was a barbarian wearing the head of a defeated enemy. And I was like, no, I want it to be the beast, so I colored it in and tried to hide the barbarian's face and beard in this chin shape. And then again, I just gave up because it did not feel fun anymore. And if something's not fun, it's not worth doing unless you're getting paid. Alright, so here is a little witch looking up on her shelf. And I don't know why the severed head is so happy to see her, but he is. So there. And what the heck that is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So plump little Raichu having some cake. And he has an Eevee plush who looks exceptionally creepy with all those stitches. And some Pokeballs. So I guess, I don't know what I was thinking, but I guess Raichu is a trainer and has other Pokemon enslaved in these Pokeballs. But he's a terrible trainer, so he just leaves them in there maybe? I don't know. Again, an incomplete sketch because I got tired of it. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I do come back to these and finish them off, but again, sometimes that could be 6 months or more. Or it could be like some of my other sketchbooks and never be completed. We'll see. Alright, so Jake Parker has a skeleton space character that I was trying to somewhat emulate, but more of a modern or a current time frame astronaut suit. So I'm not sure why I did it. I was watching one of his videos, and I don't even know why his skeleton character came to mind, because he was inking a Kylo Ren drawing in the video I watched. But for some reason it did, and I drew this, and that's that. I'm coming to realize a lot of these don't have good explanations, and maybe that makes me look bad, but I don't know why there's a headless head. No, why there's a severed head so neatly put on a pedestal here with its brains oozing out with eyeballs. But it is, and I'm sorry, but that's what it is. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Oh. I don't know why this came to mind or why this is what I drew. But I was watching Drawfee, and Julia was drawing a little Tykes cozy coupe, I think is what they're called. The big plastic kids driving toys. And she had faces and heads coming out of the wheels and steering wheel, and it really triggered something in me, and I decided this is probably what they looked like inside the space of that vehicle, and they were trying to squeeze out. But they don't look the same. But it's fine because they're great. They're good friends. Here's the cup that sits on my art table. And yes, it does have a very large knife in it. I do not use the knife, but it's there because it comforts me. Okay, if you don't know this character, that's fine. But just understand we cannot be friends. Because Deltarune is amazing. Look it up. Kindred. So I used to play a lot of League. And Kindred was one of my favorite ones to try to play as. I was not good at it. I was not good with Kindred, but I love the aesthetic of this character. The duality, the twisted nature of it all. But I don't play anymore, so it's like she's dead to me. So it's kind of the imagery of her passing. Like the mask is on the ground, and it just symbolizes that she's gone from my life because I don't play anymore. And that's what that is. I don't know. I really don't know. That looks terrible. This weirdo is a piece that I did while I was watching Casey Golden doing her cute toony style. It was supposed to be like a kiwi, I think, but it turned into like a duck face with a weird nostril, and then it has like a dinosaur butt and legs, so that's fun. And I don't know if he's hairy or scratched up. I don't know. I like the leaves. The leaves look nice. Whatever kind of leaves those are, they're nice. Ah. Self-portrait again. Horribly over-rendered in charcoal pencil and ink. And yes, I look that sleepy all the time. The Nun. If you haven't seen it, watch it. This is not what she looks like, but I was inspired but not referencing it when I drew this one. Do you see this weird color you get whenever you use ink over charcoal? Like, the charcoal pencil does not look this yellowy green, but when you get ink on it, it bleeds through in that color. That's weird. Okay, so I was designing a logo for an arcade, and they wanted to implement the California LA logo into it with the palm tree and that sort of orientation, and I didn't have a tablet at the time, so I was doodling it in here. I got a commission about a year ago, and this was the only sketchbook I could grab when I was thinking of it. So about a year ago, I was commissioned to create some characters for a fantasy / NSFW game, and they wanted a dominatrix spider. So this is two of the ideas I came up with for that. It was interesting. They wanted the character to look like they were in leather, and they wanted a whip to be their webbing, so like this whip was supposed to come out of their bum. And that's weird. But then they were like, but I want them to walk on two legs, so I came up with this design and like the horse crop whip thing. And I kind of like how it turned out, but they ended up stiffing me on all of it, even though I charge 50% after sketch. But that's fine, because now it's in a video here, and that's great. Ah, the Melty Pig. I got a lot of likes on Instagram for this one. And I don't know why, because I just... What was it? Batman. There's a character, I forget his name, but he wears a pig mask and he mutilates people. But I was playing one of the video games, and this character was in it. I'll have to look up his name. I know I'm going to get DC fans riled up for not knowing such basic information, but he's like a doctor and he mutilates people, and he's a pig, and that's where this came from, and I just went with it. Vampire with zombie torn up face, because that's what anime shaped faces should be, because this is lovely. There we go. Okay, so I was watching a musical. Yes, I do that sometimes. I watch musicals. And I don't know why I lean toward these weird dead characters that are all skeletons, but I do. And he broke his bow and he's singing about the tragedy and how horrible that is. And he just is very disappointed in having a broken bow and such a lovely violin. And that's all. Very generic castle, wall, tower, and a very ugly like high school theater moon in the background. Yeah. I like him though. I like the skeleton people. This is a sketch for another commission. This is a tiefling rogue. And it's kind of elvish in shape. I mean, you can make out the ear shape here. And the reason this comes up so high and pointy right here is because tieflings have little horns. And I was trying to, with the horns, trying to emulate that it's under there, trying to simulate some height on this. I don't know if I accomplished it, but that was the goal. And again, another stiff on the commission. This is just a sketch. I showed them this. They're like, "Oh, you're a terrible artist. I'm not paying you anything." Fair enough. Here's some of the loose stuff. I think here, let's do a quick. Yeah, we're not through all this yet. So this is just a piece of cardboard off of a little notepad, and I don't like blank toned paper. Like if it's toned, I feel like it has to have something on it, because art looks really good on toned paper to me. So I did that. These guys are pretty cool. This is a creature I put together for another video where I was just chit-chatting. I don't know what's going on with him. Them? Is there two of them? Like two? I don't know. But this is weird, and I love it. This is Pinhead, and I was raised literally from childhood watching these Hellraiser movies. So this guy has really left a mark on me, and I love him. Here's some of my Pokemon mashups. This is Sobble and Blooper. Sobble, the Pokemon from the newest expansion of the Pokemon series, and Blooper is the little squid guy, the enemy that has like the mask that I try to kind of simulate here. And Sobble does not look happy, but then again, that's kind of his thing, isn't it? He's always upset. And then there's the Score Bunny and Boo mashup that looks terrible, and I do not like it at all. But that's what warm-ups are for, and that's what these are. These mashups are just my warm-ups because brush pens are hard to use, and I'm learning. So, yeah. If you can even slightly recognize what's going on, then I've done my job. And last but not least is this horny stump. And I just doodled him on some scrap graph paper at work. And I just kept rendering and doodling and rendering and doodling until it turned into this. And I really like him. I'm thinking about blowing him up and doing a digital piece with him in it. Not just him, but him in it. He kind of freaks me out. Like staring into his eyes. It really does things to you. But that's it. That's all I've got. Those are all the pieces. I mean, I've probably got 24 more pages to go. And then I flip the book over and go back the other way, doing the backside. So don't think I'm wasting space like the backs here. Once I've got it full going this way, I flip it, write my name in it again. Because if you notice the front, I put my name at the top left here. I don't know why I did my initials there, but that's what I do. And then when I'm done going in that direction, I flip it, put my name here, and start going in this direction. So technically, I'm only about 1/4 of the way through this sketchbook. But if I had fully filled this book, then this video would be 2 hours long. So we don't want that. Or maybe you do. Let me know. But that's all I've got for now. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, checking out what I've been working on. And like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. I'm going to drop some links to the materials I use for these. There's not a lot of them. There's this lead holder, pocket brush pen, some charcoal pencils and things. I don't use expensive materials, and you shouldn't either. Unless you're making commission work, professional stuff, and you're just creating things like this, there's no reason to buy outrageously priced expensive materials. Yes, I own Prismacolor colored pencils. I own some color erase pencils. I own some Copics. You don't need to, though, because this stuff is, I mean, you just need to create. That's what I'm doing, and I mean, you can see from this to this, I don't care who you are, there is an obvious progression in quality here. And this is on the flimsiest, most pathetic paper with a Pentel pocket brush pen, which maybe you think is an expensive material, but as far as I'm concerned, it is not. It's just an ink pen with a brush tip. You can go to the dollar store and get brushes, and you can go pick up some cheap India ink anywhere and make the exact same marks that I make with the brush pen. But alright, thanks again. Like, comment, subscribe if you like the video. If you don't, tell me about it. Don't sub if you don't like it, but tell me about it. Tell me how to improve. Let me know what I'm doing wrong so that I can correct it, because I want to produce good content for you guys. But alright. I'll talk to you guys again next weekend. I appreciate you hanging out. And always remember, you are awesome.